How's it going, guys? Just wanted to start this video off by thanking you guys for all the support on the last video. We crossed over 300 likes on that video. Let's see if we can do the same on this one if you guys make it to the end. But I did want to mention that I am apologizing in advance for all the shitty audio. I got a new camera and it's very sensitive to like my hand movements and stuff, so there's a lot of like black noise, I think it's called. I apologize. In the next video I'm going to try to sort it out, so try to bear through it. Like I said, I apologize, but please enjoy the video anyway. Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Today we are working on a customer car. I actually ended up building this motor for this guy quite a while ago, but the videos got quite a bit of good response. And the guy brought it back to me because he wanted to do a retune and put this thing on E85 and turn the boost up a little bit. So we are actually going to be wiring in a new map sensor. So this is a GM 3-bar map sensor. We went with this one because this car is on Crome, and if you guys watch my videos and listen along, I tell you that Crome really doesn't work that well. It has a lot of bugs. I would recommend Honda to this guy, but he's got, you know, a lot of other parts he needs to upgrade before that, I think. He's got just a basic eBay turbo kit here with like the basic 50 trim unit. And I would tell him to upgrade the turbo manifold, the turbo, the whole exhaust, the wastegate, all that stuff, probably before going to Honda. But we're just going to run the Crome setup for now with the GM 3-bar map sensor. And like I said, the only map sensor that really works well with Crome is this GM 3-bar map sensor. And we're going to wire this thing up and show you guys kind of how to do it. I don't know if any of y'all noticed, but I did get a new camera. I don't know if you guys can tell from the video here if it's any better or different, or if the audio sucks or if the video sucks or whatever. I'm still learning on this new camera here. I got a GoPro Hero 5 Black. The whole time on my channel I've literally been using a GoPro Hero Session. It's like a little square thing and it's been working really good, but I wanted to get another camera for doing just this kind of stuff, and I'll use the GoPro Session for like racing and putting it on the outside of the car, and that way we can get multiple angles of racing and whatnot, because the rest of the summer, guys, is probably going to be just a lot of racing. So hopefully you guys like that, and hopefully we get to the track every week and go out and make some passes. So anyways, on the GM 3-bar map sensor here, you're going to have A, B, and C plugs. And the A is a ground, the B is a signal or something, and then the C is a 5-volt reference. So you got to wire this properly. If you do not wire this thing properly, you will fry the sensor out, so it's best to double check. These sensors range anywhere from like 10 bucks to 100 bucks. This is a $10 one, which I've never had luck with in the past, but this one does work. I did test it already before I started making this video, and this map sensor does work, but the $10 ones are kind of hit and miss. Some of them work, some of them don't. The $40 ones usually work pretty good. So if you type in GM 3-bar on eBay or whatever for this style sensor, the $40 one is usually the way to go. But this $10 one did work, so we're just going to throw that guy on, and we are going to show you guys how to wire it. Alright guys, so I'm going to actually be showing you how to test the wiring at the map sensor, so you know what wires go to what spot on the sensor. Now this is the factory map sensor wiring that came off of the car right here, and one of them is going to be a ground, like I said, one's 5-volt and one's just like a signal wire or something like that. And normally on Hondas, the green one, the green wire here is the ground, and then the yellow is usually the 5-volt. But just to verify, because like I said, if you hook this up wrong, you can actually damage the sensor when you go to hook it all up. So quick thing here is just set the multimeter to voltage, and I'm gonna put the key's already turned forward, by the way, so I'm just gonna go, ground to the green one. And as you can see, we got 5 volts there holding on the yellow guy, so now we know what wires go to what, like I said. And then onto the actual sensor here, there's going to be a you know, A, B, and C plug on this thing. So A is going to be the ground, B is going to be the map signal, so the signal sensor wire, and then C is going to be that 5-volt reference, like I was saying. So this one's kind of already color coordinated. Black is ground, obviously, etc., etc. So I'm going to wire these corresponding to where they need to go there. There's actually diagrams on this stuff. If you just type in like GM 3-bar map sensor wiring, you can actually find quite a few different diagrams of how to wire them. Okay guys, so we just got the map sensor all buttoned up. I ran the vacuum line off of the back of the manifold here, the same one that is going to the boost gauge. So hopefully all that'll be good to go. Like I said, I just tied it in with the boost gauge. That way the map sensor and the boost gauge are going to be reading the same pressure, because sometimes if you have like a throttle body mounted map sensor there and then you have your boost gauge running off the manifold or something, they may be different by a few psi, and this way they'll be exact running it this way, I've noticed. But anyways, it's all wired up, good to go. And like I said, tied the vacuum line to the map sensor right there, and just ran some zip ties on all these hoses and stuff for him. Yeah, so now we are hooking up this boost controller that I got, and just gonna run normally, like, you know, when you hook up your normal you know, wastegate line, you're just gonna hook up the line off of the turbo down here. There's a nipple on the compressor housing that will just run this guy, and then we'll run the line up to the wastegate port like so. And then once that's hooked up, this is just going to be a T in the middle of this guy to bleed off air to the wastegate to trick it, to tell it, hey, we want to run a little bit more boost. And then this guy just has a dial on it to up or lower the boost. So we're just going to get this guy all plumbed in, and then once that's plumbed in, we'll get to tuning. Testing out wind noise right now. Anyways, back to working on this thing. I got the boost controller installed. So this is just like a Turbo Smart T style manual boost controller. Got that all wired in, looking snazzy. So now, just gonna make sure this thing's backed off all the way, just for initial testing. Make sure this thing's on like 7 pounds where it was, and then we will slowly turn the boost controller until we start seeing an increase. Now we are gonna get the laptop fired up, and we are going to change the tune on Crome over from the stock map sensor to a 3-bar. So now we are in the laptop here. We're going to open up Crome, and we're going to get this thing running on the 3-bar map sensor. So I'm just going to do this quick to show you that just from like a fresh base on Chrome Gold. And we'll kind of run through a base map quick of how to set a car up with 3-bar. So this car has RC750 high impedance injectors. So click that. We'll go to map calibration. We'll go to GM 3-bar. Everything else should be decent. And then it says you've altered the tables here. Would you like to rebuild them? And we will hit yes. And we can just go to even distribution. But first we should go to table properties here and add in more columns. So I just like to max these guys out so we get the most amount of resolution. So go to 20, and then we'll get asked the same thing here. We'll click yes, and then we'll hit even distribution again. And there we go. Now we have a fuel map all the way up to 26 psi. This map sensor technically can read all the way to like 30, but this will be plenty high for this setup. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go through and smooth all this. Just a good idea when you put up, you know, a new base map with big injectors and all that stuff. So I'm just going to interpolate and smooth all of it. So now the map is a lot smoother. There's no jagged chunks of more fuel and then less fuel and then more fuel, etc. Now I've had a lot of questions on how to set up the you know, ostrich, and what I do is I just go to settings, real-time programming, and then I plug in the ostrich. So I'll plug this guy in, Now it's plugged in and we'll just hit detect connection. Now we're connected. And we can just hit this little chip guy in the corner. And we can hit put. So we just put this new map onto the ECU. We'll turn the key forward. See if this thing fires up or not. Alright, she sounds a little lean. Let it warm up for here for a quick second, see where it's at. It might be too rich, it might be too lean. Yeah, it's too lean. So we'll stab 30% in it and see where it comes up. There we go. Now we're on the wideband. And we'll get some heat in the motor and then we'll start playing with the table some more. Alright guys, so the car is idling now, and I just highlighted a real-time update here. This allows me to make a change to the map and then it will automatically adjust, so I don't have to hit put every time I upload new changes into the computer. So I'm just going to adjust the idle area here, and we are going to take out like 10%, see where the air fuel lands up. And we might need to take out another 5% here to get the idle where we want it. There we go. We're chilling. Now, I already built the timing tables here manually. I usually like to build the timing table myself instead of having the, you know, the boost table adjustment thing here do it for you. But we can do this for the fuel side of things. We're just going to adjust for turbocharger efficiency here up to like 135. We'll try on this guy. It's a pretty small turbo, so try that guy out. So now we have more fuel added in up here, whereas before we did not. So that's all good to go. And what I like to do now is I'm just going to take the low cam side of things, copy it over, and match it to the high cam. And then on the high cam, I'm going to add 25%. And that will accommodate for VTEC. Sometimes they don't need as much, sometimes they do, depending on how efficient the head is and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of a good way to start off for the base map here. And we can go through here for VTEC and get all this stuff set up. But I usually like to tune the low cam map first, so I'll turn the VTEC off until we get low cam tuned. And then once the low cam is tuned, we can move on to the high cam table. Alright guys, so we are out driving this thing now, and I got the idle set a little better. She's sitting pretty. But anyway, so we're just going to cruise around and see where the air fuel is cruising, do all the map tuning, and then we'll move on to the boost. I did a lot of this in a previous video already, but figured I would kind of go through some of it again. So the map is already pretty solid. We're getting rich in a few spots. I would say like above 2,500 RPM or so. It's rich. Yeah, above like 2 grand. Light throttle. Now the thing is with Crome, you can actually adjust by watching the boost gauge and watching the map. So, because I don't have a data logger for Crome or anything like that, I kind of just go off of whatever the boost gauge is saying and then whatever the wideband is saying, and then kind of correspond it to the fuel map. So cruising here, light throttle, pretty much everywhere. You know, around 20 vacuum or so, 25. We're gonna have to pull some fuel out. So I'm gonna pull over here. And you can see we're gonna go from like 2 grand all the way to 18 here. This whole area here, we're gonna pull out 10%. And we're gonna go try it again and see how it is. Look at that, we're sitting perfect. Now the only other thing, sometimes when you interpolate the whole map like I did, it's gonna get richer as it raises in RPM. So cruising above like 4 grand might be rich. But it doesn't seem to be too bad. No, that's actually pretty spot on. Alright, so light throttle tuning is completed. Now, like I tell a lot of people, you'll literally sit there and scratch your head for hours and hours and hours if you try to have this thing sit exactly 14.7 all the time. I usually tell people as long as it's in between like 13 and 15.5, you're usually pretty good. Obviously 14.7 is ideal, but like look at this thing cruise now. That's about as good as it's gonna get, boys. And like obviously I could actually lean out this mixture a little bit more cruising and have it cruise at like a 15.5 to 16.0 and it would pick up fuel mileage. But sometimes when you do that on Chrome, you know, temperature variations and stuff like that can actually cause the car to run leaner on another day, and it would, you know, cause, you know, some bucking and jerking, which we don't want. So I'm just going to leave it around 14.7 and we should all be good to go. So now we're going to tune into boost a little bit, and we're going to just kind of ease into the throttle and see where everything is going to land us. So I'm just gonna stop doing light throttle stuff because this is literally like 0% to 8th throttle. So like maybe 10%, 15% throttle. So I'll put it in 3rd gear and I'll just roll into it a little bit. We're around 10 inches of vacuum right now. That's looking perfect, guys. That's looking sweet. Like I said, doing a lot of the stuff initially, like doing the smoothing and the interpolating and highlighting the whole map to kind of look, you know, to get it running good. And, you know, it ends up like this 90% of the time. It's pretty good already. But we'll stab it 50% throttle here. See, we're lean. Yeah, we don't have enough fuel coming into boost, so we'll have to add some in. So we're gonna move over to probably around 4 inches of vacuum or so, and we're gonna start punching fuel into this thing. So I'm gonna punch like 30% into it. And then I'm gonna take this column here, the one to the left of it, and I'm just gonna go through and smooth this. And now when we get into the throttle, hopefully we got some fuel coming in for boost. So I'll just give it a little bit of throttle here. Look at that. Looking better. We're looking better. All right, so we were around like a 12.5 air fuel, 12.5 to 13.0. So I'm actually going to punch another 5% into it. So just in the boost region here, I'm going to add another 5%. See where this thing's at. That started looking pretty good. I got into a couple pounds of boost there, and it went into the 11s when it actually came into real boost. So if I floor it, it starts off like 12.5, 13, and then by the time it actually sees boost, it's in the 11s, which is exactly how I want it. So we'll get out on some open road here and let this thing eat. All right, so now that we're on a little bit more of an open stretch of road here, I'm gonna give this thing some sauce. I'm gonna put it in 3rd, and we'll floor it, see where the wideband ends up, and see how this thing is. wideband's looking pretty good. It gets a little rich up top, but that's because we're on the low cam side of the map. We're gonna leave it there. I think we can honestly pull 5% out of it. It looked like it went to like 11.0 air fuel on, you know, 8 or 9 pounds. So above, I think above like 6 pounds of boost, I'm gonna pull 5% out of the whole map from 5 pounds and above. So I'm just gonna do that quick. We'll take right here, it says 6.7. We'll take this chunk here and we will minus 5%, just like so. And now we'll copy this whole thing, copy and paste it over here. And then we're gonna add in 25%, 25, 30% to start, and then we'll see where it ends up. That's all good, that's all good. We'll turn VTEC on. So go to VTEC, turn that thing on. 5200 sounds good. We'll disable this IAB because it doesn't have butterflies. I'll go here. Yeah, my ostrich does this sometimes, like the battery inside of it will die, and then the car will die. I'll try to do this again, there we go. Put that to the ECU, turn this thing back on. We'll give this thing a hit with VTEC, and then once we know where that's at, we will turn it up. I still got to play with some of this startup stuff. That's why it's lean right now, but we'll go drive it for a second, and after we're done driving it for a second, it'll come back down to 14.7, or it should. All right, so cruising here, we got VTEC enabled again. I pulled 5% out above 6 pounds on the low cam, and then I copied that map over to the high cam and then added in 25%. So it might be a little fat on the VTEC side, but that's good. It's always good to start out rich than it is to start out lean. So we're just gonna hit it in third gear here. This thing's on like 8 pounds or 9 pounds of boost right now. So we'll hit it. Yeah, she's way fat up top. So once it hits VTEC, it goes really rich. So we'll go to VTEC here, take the whole map and pull 10% out. We could probably get away with pulling 15. That was really rich. So I pulled 15% out of the VTEC side. We'll try this thing again. Here we go. There we go. That looked a lot better. We're in the 11s. A lot of guys that like haven't tuned before, you shouldn't be pulling out 15% at a time. Good rule of thumb is to pull 5% at a time, but I've done so many of these Hondas where I kind of know, you know, how it feels and what it wants. But that honestly felt like it needed 15% pulled out of it because it was a dead flat 10.0, and it ended us right in the 11s there. So I'll just do one more pull quick and verify that the tune is all the way good, all the way up top, which it might start getting rich up top, because that's how these things are sometimes. So I'll hit it in third gear. Pretty good. It didn't really get any richer. It stayed in the 11s for the most part. I'm gonna call that pretty good right there. Woo-hoo, boy. All right guys, so we're out here tuning on this thing. It seems pretty solid already. We're just gonna turn the boost up a little higher because it's only on like 8 pounds right now. Check this thing over. seems all good to go. And we'll start to turn the boost controller. Give it a couple turns, see where we end up. All right guys, so we were messing with the car and everything is good to go on it. Besides, when I tried to turn the boost controller up, I kind of stopped filming because the boost started to spike. And this boost controller is a Turbosmart unit, and these Turbosmart units have two kind of different ways of boost control. It adjusts with this little knob on the top, which is like a valve that goes down the body of the boost controller, and then it also has a ball and spring inside the bottom here with these fittings. So what I ended up doing is I removed the ball and spring on the bottom side, and hopefully we won't have any more boost creeping issues. What I also noticed too is the car was kind of struggling up top, wasn't really making any power, and I'm thinking that this muffler was the culprit. So this is an Apexi WS2 muffler, and they definitely restrict flow on a turbo car. I mean, any muffler at all, unless you have like a Vibrant Performance straight through style muffler, they're gonna kill horsepower. And this muffler is not a straight through design. It is a, you know, it loops around inside of the muffler here, and definitely is killing some horsepower. So we're removing the muffler and removing this boost T ball and spring. And then once that's all done, we're gonna go test it one more time, see if we have consistent boost, and see if we make more power. It's still on. Oh, it dims, yeah. Michael's like, I don't know how to work this new GoPro.
I'm not in the video.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm not on screen, am I?
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. Let me see that screen. Yeah, because there's nothing on that screen.
Oh, well, it will. There is. Now there is.
No, I don't want to break your camera. Stop filming me.
All right. Let's take this thing off for a rip, why don't we?
For a rip?
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how this thing is, eh? No muffler. And, yeah. You can actually hear it now. I like it. Well, I think we tapped the boost clip.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was about 11 pounds, 12 pounds. Give it another click or two.
A little bit.
Little?
Yeah.
That was like 13, 14. This boost controller is really sensitive. Like you could turn it a
Click
lot.
is like 1.
Yeah, like 2 clicks is like 1 pound.
So you're saying you want me to turn it?
Ah, fuck. Right when I try to go outside, dude. Fucker. For another couple 2-3 clicks. Straight fucking. Ready?
Too much?
I don't know, it was like 18,
What's boost cut?
20.
Stay in it.
It just doesn't feel like it picks up that much. A little bit, yeah. That was only like 15. But at first it spikes up and then comes down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
grinding in the background now. It moves pretty good. Yeah. What was that, Michael?
Are you recording? There's no light.
I
don't like this.
You don't like this new camera?
No, I like the camera. I don't like there's no light. Although there's a little recorder right there.
And it says I'm recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, when I really want to blow up my car, can I borrow your tires?
Yeah. Because your shit don't hook at all.
No.
Like literally you can't get out of the hole.
It'll do a 192 60 foot again and blow a diff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So anyways, we got this blue Integra, or not blue Integra. It's a blue EG hatch. We got it all tuned up as good as it's going to get with this setup that's on it. We turned it up to like 18 pounds, backed it down to 14 pounds, and it didn't make any difference in power. So the turbo's maxed out. Can't really get any more out of these little eBay things. If this car had a VS Racing turbo, it would probably make a little bit more power, but I'm going to tell him just, hey, you're going to have to upgrade the turbo manifold, the turbo, the injectors to go E85, and probably get Hondata.
Yeah, get Hondata.
Get Hondata.
Get Hondata.
Yep. Chrome works, like I said, but it's got a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of bugs.
Yep.
But anyways, we're going to pick up on this thing in another day. Tomorrow, I got another thing we're doing to my Civic, so stay tuned for that video. And yeah, as always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you tomorrow.